Hello my friends, and welcome back to our channel, where we talk all about senior health, wellness, and aging gracefully. If you're over 55, you already know that our doctor visits become more frequent, and checkups are often considered the gold standard for staying healthy. But here's something important that doesn't get talked about enough. Not all medical tests and checkups are as safe or as necessary as we're led to believe. Some can lead to unnecessary worry, overtreatment, or even risks that outweigh the benefits, especially after a certain age. So today, we're going to carefully look at 5 common medical checkups that may be riskier than you think. And don't worry, this isn't about scaring you. This is about educating and empowering you so you can have open, informed conversations with your doctor. Stick with me until the end, because I'll also share some safe and smart alternatives that can help you protect your health without unnecessary risks. Now, before we dive into the list, let's talk about why this matters. As we get older, our bodies become more sensitive not just to medications, but also to medical procedures, radiation, or even stress from false alarms. Studies show that seniors are more likely to experience overdiagnosis, which means finding health issues that might never cause problems in your lifetime. This often leads to unnecessary treatments, surgeries, or medications that come with side effects. So, the real question isn't just, can this test find something? It's, will this test actually improve the quality and length of my life? That's the perspective I want you to keep in mind as we go through these 5 checkups. Let's start with the first one, full-body CT scans. These scans are sometimes advertised as a way to catch cancer early or see what's really going on inside your body, and while that sounds reassuring, here's the problem. A CT scan exposes you to a high dose of radiation, sometimes equal to hundreds of chest X-rays. For older adults, repeated exposure can actually increase the risk of developing new cancers down the road. Second, false positives are very common. These are findings that look suspicious but turn out to be harmless. Unfortunately, they often lead to stressful follow-up tests, biopsies, or even unnecessary surgery. And here's something most people don't realize. Major health organizations, like the FDA and the American College of Radiology, do not recommend full-body CT scans as a screening tool for healthy people. So unless you have a specific reason, like your doctor is monitoring a known condition, these peace-of-mind scans might do more harm than good. Cut to a doctor talking to a patient, pointing at a scan, smiling gently, reassuring them instead. What's safer is targeted screenings only when symptoms or risk factors suggest you truly need them. Next, let's talk about something important for men, the PSA test for prostate cancer. PSA stands for prostate-specific antigen. It's a blood test that measures levels of a protein linked to prostate cancer. Sounds simple enough, right? But here's the issue. High PSA doesn't always mean cancer. It could mean inflammation, infection, or just natural enlargement of the prostate. As men age, the problem is that a high PSA often triggers more tests like biopsies that carry risks of infection, bleeding, or urinary problems. And even if cancer is found, it's often so slow-growing that it would never cause harm during your lifetime. The U.S. Preventive Services Task Force actually warns against routine PSA screening for men over 70 years old, because the risks of overtreatment are higher than the potential benefits. Cut to balanced graphic. Pros vs. cons of PSA test. May find aggressive cancer early in some men. High false alarms, unnecessary biopsies, treatment side effects like incontinence and erectile dysfunction. So if you're a man over 60, the key is to have a thoughtful conversation with your doctor. Do I really need this test? And will it change how we manage my health? Now let's talk about women's health, specifically mammograms. Mammograms have saved lives by detecting breast cancer early, especially in younger women. But the story changes as we age. For women over 75, the benefits of mammograms often decline, while the risks increase. Why? First, the chance of detecting a fast-growing, dangerous breast cancer becomes lower as we age. Second, Mammograms in older women frequently lead to false positives, scary results that turn out to be nothing. These often lead to painful biopsies or unnecessary treatments. And third, studies show that overdiagnosis, finding cancers that would never spread or cause harm, is especially common in older adults. The U.S. Preventive Services Task Force currently recommends routine screening only up to age 74. Beyond that, whether or not to continue should be a very personal decision based on your health and life expectancy. Cut to doctor gently explaining test options to an older woman. Reassuring smile. So if you're over 75, ask your doctor, will another mammogram truly help me live longer and healthier, or is it more likely to cause unnecessary stress and procedures? Now, colonoscopies can be a life-saving tool for detecting colon cancer early. They're recommended regularly between ages 45 and 75. But after age 75, the balance begins to shift. The prep process, drinking strong laxatives, can be especially hard on older adults, sometimes causing dehydration or electrolyte imbalances. The procedure itself carries risks, like bleeding or even bowel perforation, particularly in those with fragile health. And here's a crucial point. Colon cancer often takes 10 to 15 years to grow. That means if you're 78 or 80 and otherwise healthy, another colonoscopy may not actually add meaningful years to your life, but it could expose you to unnecessary risks. Visual split-screen graphic benefits vs. risks after 75. Can find cancer if you're at high risk. Risk of complications goes up, benefit goes down. Many experts suggest switching to less invasive tests like stool-based tests that can be done at home with much less risk. So again, this is a conversation to have with your doctor. Do the risks outweigh the benefits for me persona? And finally, let's talk about bone density scans, also known as DEXA scans. These tests measure how strong your bones are and can detect osteoporosis. They're very helpful, but here's where the problem lies. Many seniors are told to repeat the scan every year or two, even if their first test showed normal or only mildly reduced bone density. The truth is, for most older adults, bones don't change that quickly. In fact, medical guidelines say you usually don't need a repeat scan for at least 5 to 10 years unless you're on osteoporosis treatment or had a significant fracture. Repeating the test too often can create unnecessary anxiety or push people toward medications they don't really need. Medications that sometimes come with side effects, like jaw problems or stomach irritation. Cut to animation of bones becoming stronger with healthy habits: walking, calcium, vitamin D, exercise. So, bone scans are useful, but don't let anyone convince you to overdo them. Now, before you start worrying, let me be clear, checkups are still important. The key is making sure they're the right tests, at the right time, for the right reasons. Here are some safer, smarter choices you might discuss with your doctor. Instead of routine full-body scans, focus on symptom-based imaging only when something feels wrong. Instead of frequent PSA tests or mammograms, ask if a watchful waiting approach might make more sense. Instead of colonoscopies after 75, consider less invasive stool tests. Instead of yearly bone scans, stick to lifestyle changes like weight-bearing, exercise, calcium-rich foods, and vitamin D. Then test only when truly needed. The most important thing is this: your health care should be personalized to you, not just based on your age, but your overall health, your family history, and your personal comfort level. With risks versus benefits, let's quickly recap the 5 medical checkups that might be riskier than you think, especially after age 60 or 70. Full-body scans often find harmless things and lead to unnecessary tests. PSA blood tests for prostate cancer can cause false alarms and overtreatment. Mammograms after 75, benefits go down, false positives go up. Colonoscopies after 75, prep and risks may outweigh benefits. Bone density scans too often usually don't change enough to justify yearly testing. Remember, it's not that these tests are bad, it's that sometimes the risks outweigh the benefits in older adults. Now you might be thinking, but how do I actually talk to my doctor about this? Here are some simple phrases you can use at your next appointment. Can you explain the real benefit of this test for someone my age? What are the risks of this test for me personally? If we skip this test, what would we do instead to monitor my health? Do current guidelines recommend this test at my age? Doctors are used to patients just saying yes to every test, but you have the right to ask questions and make shared decisions about your care. In fact, good doctors appreciate it when patients want to be informed and involved. Let's bust a few myths real quick. Myth: more tests always mean better health. Fact: more tests sometimes mean more risk, more stress, and unnecessary treatment. Myth: if you refuse a test, it means you don't care about your health. Fact: saying no to one test might actually be the smarter choice if the risks outweigh the benefits. Myth: once you turn 65, you should get every checkup every year. Fact: guidelines change as we age. What's good for a 50-year-old may not be helpful or safe for an 80-year-old. So here's the takeaway. Your health isn't about saying yes to every test. It's about saying yes to the right tests at the right time for you. Stay curious, stay informed, and remember, you're not being difficult by asking questions. You're being smart, and you're protecting your health, because at the end of the day, the best medicine is a balance between science, common sense, and your quality of life. Thank you for watching. If this video helped you, please give it a thumbs up and share it with a friend or family member who might benefit. And don't forget to subscribe. We've got more senior health tips coming your way.